Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 80th Annual Congressional Dinner. Please welcome to the stage the President of the Washington Press Club Foundation, Deborah Berry.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 80th anniversary of the Washington Press Club's Congressional Dinner. Thank you for being here. I'd like to take a moment, please, to introduce our head table. If possible, you can hold applause, but if you got to do it, you got to do what you got to do. But to my right and to your left is Tia Mitchell from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. So much for holding applause. And next to her is Representative Blake Moore from Utah. None of that, okay? And next to him is Representative Madeline Dean from Pennsylvania. And Rebecca Kaplan from NBC News. And next to her is Caroline McGee from Fox. And over here, right next to me, is Representative Clark from Massachusetts. I'm sorry. And next to her is Nick Wu from Politico. And Representative Kat from Florida. And Susan Paige from USA Today. And Speaker Emerita, Ms. Nancy Pelosi from California. And Jack Arresto from AP, the Associated Press. We are so excited to celebrate this milestone. The organization was founded in 1919 when a group of women journalists decided enough was enough. Thank you. Men wouldn't let them join their news organizations, so like we do, we started our own. Let's be clear, these women were about business. They hosted press conferences, news events, and congressional dinners that drew top leaders. Over the years, these women and others demanded change in the courts and also in the newsrooms. And there have been some changes. There are women in newsrooms, and even a few women are running those newsrooms, y'all. But there still are not enough women or people of color in newsrooms, particularly in decision-making roles. And in 2026, there are still some women who are breaking barriers as the first or the only, and that should not be the case. At a time when news organizations are closing Washington bureaus, laying off hundreds of journalists, and when I'm going to repeat that. At a time when news organizations are closing Washington bureaus, they're laying off hundreds of journalists, and when journalists are doing their jobs or being arrested or assaulted, it's more important than ever that we support each other. That means the mission of the foundation to support women in journalism and to push for more diversity in this business continues. We do that with programs including we have an oral history project featuring women trailblazers. We have a fund to support internships. We have a reception for interns in the DMV. We have a congressional reception to celebrate press freedoms. And more recently, we started a series of webinars for college journalism students. We're trying to help prepare the next generation of journalists. We also make a point of saluting the work of regional reporters. Where's our RA members? Okay. They are important to what we do. We also make a point of supporting women whose work exemplifies the best in journalism, and women in management who are working to promote diversity in coverage and staffing. Your presence here funds those initiatives, so thank you so much for being here. We also want to thank our sponsors, including Chevron, the American Property Owners Alliance, Airlines for America, Punchbowl News, the National Association of Manufacturers, National Confectioners Association, the American Petroleum Institute, Brunswick Group, Ford Motor Company, TC Energy, and Pharma. This work happens because of journalists who care. Would the current board members please stand up and wave? Current board members, please stand up and wave. Okay. Oh, wait. And also with the former foundation presidents. We have some presidents in the House. Former presidents, please stand, as well as some former board members. And shout out to Suzanne Perrone, the Foundation's Executive Director, whose tireless efforts make this dinner and the programs the success they are. As I said, saluting trailblazers is part of what we do. It is with great pleasure that I introduce our next speaker, who has made history herself. Nancy Pelosi was elected the first woman to serve as Speaker of the House in 2007. In fact, one of her first speaking engagements after being sworn in was right here at the Congressional Dinner. Thank you for being here. In the years since, she has played a major role in shepherding through some landmark legislation, including the Affordable Care Act. It has been a key supporter of freedom of the press. Speaker Pelosi was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame and was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor. It is only fitting that Speaker Pelosi would join us for tonight's 80th anniversary. Please welcome Representative Pelosi.
Thank you, Madam President. That has a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Thank you, President Barry, for your kind introduction, and thank you to the board of the Washington Press Club Foundation for the honor of being with you this evening. Let us congratulate tonight's honoree, Susan Paige, who is receiving the Lifetime Achievement Award, and Melissa Burke, who is receiving the David Lynch Award for Regional Journalism. Susan, I'm delighted to join you on 80 years of this annual dinner. 80 years of this dinner. 80 years is truly a remarkable milestone. In Congress, we respect 80 years as that much longevity as institutional memory. Soon after I was, let me just go, these pages are sticking together. I'm sticking to my notes because if I don't, I would go very long. You don't want that. The Women's National Press Club, as was mentioned, was created at a time when women journalists were excluded from professional opportunities, shut out from press rooms, denied recognition that they were earning. But your founders did not accept the status quo. They organized, they persisted. They fought for access, for credibility, for a seat at the table, and they proved again and again that women belong there all along. And that is an applause line. And they proved that women belong there all along. I can identify with that because when I first ran for leadership, the men said, who said she could run? Poor babies, poor babies. Soon after I was elected, it was my honor to host a retirement dinner for the legendary Washington journalist, Mary McCrory. Now, some of you are too young to remember Mary. Many of you are too young. But at that dinner that we had in the Capitol, my office was the leader's office, but that had been the office that Tip O'Neill used as speaker. So Mary loved that we were in Tip's suite to honor her. Tip came over, Ted Kennedy came over, and he talked about what Mary had done at the Washington Star when she started out. John Lewis was there, and he said Mary used her pen as a sword to fight for civil rights and other things. Father Drynan was there, and also was Barney Frank. And we all made the point that the Pope must have been very happy that Father Drynan, a Jesuit member of Congress, Pope insisted that he leave office and was replaced by one of the first gay men to serve in the Congress of the United States, Barney Frank. And Father Drynan was there and saying, we're getting ready for the resurrection. That's what he said. Mary was recognized as one of the first queens of journalism. And you know what? When she started out, they said, we don't want you making any fuss. You know, she was new, a new woman. We don't want you making any trouble, any fuss. She said, well, that's exactly what I came here to do. And, in fact, that's what I intend to do. And she won a Pulitzer Prize. So I bring up Mary McCrory because she's just one of many women who were leaders at that time, and I was honored to honor her upon her retirement in the capital of the United States. Just a few years later, then, I was elected speaker and had the privilege of addressing the dinner shortly thereafter. I remember the evening very well for the history and the progress we had both made. Tonight, we honor the contribution of women in journalism. All right. Okay, you're out there. I hear you now. And those who have covered Congress across generations. And all of us eagerly await the humor of Kat and Madeline, which I know will be done in the spirit of bipartisanship. Because in our democracy, defense of the First Amendment can and should be bipartisan. I always say the press is the guardian of our democracy, and that's how I view you. One such guardian is my friend Jimmy Lai, a British Hong Kong journalist imprisoned in Beijing for printing the truth. At the request of Jimmy's family, I asked Speaker Johnson to call out this matter of Jimmy's persecution when he spoke to the House of Commons a couple of weeks ago. This was a big honor for our country that the Speaker was invited in this, our bicentennial year, to speak at the House of Commons. And the Speaker did call out the need for Jimmy Lai to be free, and I'm very grateful for him for doing that. So in a bipartisan way, we support our journalists around the world. As we recently acknowledged Martin Luther King Day last week, we spent it all week in San Francisco. That's a whole week. I recalled that when he and his wife when he and Coretta went to India in the 50s, and they went to learn more about what Gandhian nonviolence was about. And when he was there, he learned that the word for nonviolence in Sanskrit, satyakaya, means two things. It means nonviolence, and it means insistence on the truth. Insistence on the truth. Dr. King understood that the truth must be spoken, defended, and carried forward by those who have the courage to do so, and I see a room full of courage here tonight. That sacred responsibility to stand for the truth is a responsibility for all of us. But it has long been the special calling of the press. You who have been among the great practitioners of that insistence on the truth, even when it required great risk, sacrifice, and fortitude. It is that spirit of satyagraha, with truth as a moral obligation, that must guide us still. Because make no mistake, the First Amendment is under siege here at home. You know that better than anyone. Facts are challenged, truth is distorted, and the press is treated by those in power as an enemy, fake news they call it, rather than treat the press as a vital partner. We see efforts to intimidate journalists, to discredit legitimate reporting, and to replace evidence with conspiracy. That is not accidental. It is a strategy. Those who fear transparency and accountability fear the press. Just in the last month, we have seen, and it was referenced earlier, we have seen fear made real, from the arrest of Don Lemon for his reporting to the raid on the home of a Washington Post journalist. These incidents are an affront to the press freedom and it's meant to scare, to chill, and to silence. But amid that political intimidation, we must also reckon with an ongoing and accompanying threat. Today, we saw painful layoffs at the Washington Post, part of a broader reprehensible pattern in which corporate decisions are hollowing out newsrooms across the country. When corporate interests gut local, national, and international journalism, communities lose watchdogs, truth loses megaphones, and democracy loses guardians. A free press cannot fulfill its mission if it is starved of its resources it needs to survive, and when the newsrooms are weakened, our republic is weakened with it. Because democracy dies in darkness. Are we all ready to say that together? Democracy dies in darkness. Democracy dies in darkness. At the same time, new rules governing the Pentagon Press Corps have raised serious concerns about access, independence, and the ability of journalists to do their jobs without fear of retaliation. This is not the first time our nation has been confronted with the issue of whether national security will be used as a reason or an excuse to limit press freedom. And I must warn all of you, my friends in the press, that I'm now going to engage in a little self-promotion. They say self-promotion is a terrible thing, but somebody's got to do it. And I want to tell you this story. Back in 2000, maybe some of you were here then, maybe not, it was a long time ago. Back in 2000, my communications director, Ira, he's so excellent, but he did remind me that he was born that year. Back in 2000, the Republican Congress passed an intelligence, and with Democratic cooperation. This was a bipartisan bill, but it was a Republican majority. And this affects you, so you may want to hear it. The Republican Congress passed an intelligence bill that included provisions that would have criminalized legitimate press reporting on national security. What they wanted to do in the bill, and this is really important, was to place the burden of proof on the journalist as to whether his or her reporting harmed national security, rather than what we wanted, which was that the burden of proof is on the government to prove that what the reporter was reporting was harming national security. This was a very big difference. At the time, I was the top, here I come bragging, at the time I was the top Democrat on the Intelligence Committee. While I could not stop the bill's passage, I did take it to President Clinton to hopefully get a veto. He understood completely what was at risk. After learning of the provision, President Clinton vetoed the bill and said his words were, "unnecessarily chilled legitimate activities that are the heart of a democracy." Thereby, President Clinton helped protect the First Amendment. Today, we are again witnessing the actions meant to chill the First Amendment, most fundamental freedoms. Let us be clear, attacks on journalism are attacks on the American people's right to know, and attempts to undermine a free press are attempts to undermine the Constitution and democracy itself. That is why tonight is not only a celebration, but is a reminder, a solemn reminder that we must protect and defend the freedom, and we must insist on the truth. Because America is in a crisis of conscience. We have a president who has crowned himself king, a Congress which has abolished itself, and a Supreme Court that has gone rogue. Our First Amendment, a free and independent press, the Fourth Estate, is essential to the survival of our republic. To all the journalists in this room, they can hear, they just want to talk. And to all the journalists in this room and beyond here, the American people are counting on you, the press, to know your power. We know you do, and we appreciate that. You know your power and to use it. You know the power of the facts to defeat disinformation. You know better than anyone the power of questions to expose truth, the power of your work to inform the American people and to strengthen our democracy. We celebrate the 250th year of America's independence. Today was the day that George Washington was elected President of the United States, on this day. And as, oh good, George Washington gets a hand. And my dear friend Jamie Raskin just gave me a quote from Thomas Jefferson. And he said, if I were to choose a country with a government without a press, or the press without the government, I would choose the latter. I would choose the latter. Thank you, Jamie. Another great American, Benjamin Franklin, you know, was asked after the Constitutional Convention, when it concluded, what form of government was created. He replied, a republic, if we can keep it. You know that. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, it is your voices, integrity, persistence, and courage that will, as our national anthem declares, give proof through the night that our flag is still there, and as we pledge with liberty and justice for all. Keeping our republic depends on you. It has always depended on you. Thank you, members of the press, for your patriotism, Thank you for your patriotism. God bless America. Enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Are y'all enjoying dinner? Do you have the dessert on your table? And are you ready to be quiet? Good evening. My name is Tia Mitchell. I'm the Washington Bureau Chief of the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And I serve as Vice President of the Washington Press Club Foundation. I want to pause again in our celebration to acknowledge that today was a rough day for many, many amazing journalists. Our hearts go out to those who find themselves challenged with finding a new path in an industry that is changing in ways a lot of us don't fully understand. But we do know that our profession, journalism, is an essential as ever. And if we believe that our democracy is worth preserving, that it can only be accomplished with a vibrant, respected, and supported Fourth Estate. Tonight, it is my honor to bring attention to my colleagues that are fellow regional reporters. These are the DC-based journalists whose work appears in local news outlets across the country. David Lynch was one of those regional reporters, emphasizing congressional coverage throughout a long career where his reporting appeared in outlets in New York, New England, Alaska, and South Carolina, among other places. After his death in 1998, his widow rallied family, friends, and colleagues to memorialize him with the annual David Lynch Memorial Reporting Award, which recognizes excellence in covering Congress from a regional perspective. This year's winner is a back-to-back repeat winner, Melissa Burke of the Detroit News. Melissa is known for her insightful and incisive coverage on issues and industries that drive the political conversation in Michigan and beyond. Let's give another round of applause for Melissa Burke of the Detroit News.
Congratulations, Melissa. The Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes an individual. Thank you. The Lifetime Achievement Award recognizes an individual whose outstanding accomplishments promote the journalistic profession and enhance the role of women journalists. When word spread that Susan Paige would receive the Lifetime Achievement Award, I can't tell you how many people said, "Oh yeah, like that's a given," and they simply nodded. There are few as deserving as Susan Paige. I mean, how many women journalists, or men for that matter, have interviewed 10 presidents, moderated a vice presidential debate, and wrote 3 books about famous women, including the Speaker of the House, Pelosi? I think I could rest my case just on that alone. But beyond her impressive resume, Susan is simply just straight up good people. She takes time to help younger reporters and even mature, seasoned ones like me. All of us at USA Today, where I was a reporter for a long time, were so proud when she moderated that VP debate. Some of us even had a watch party so we can see her in action. And then it says a lot about a bureau chief if your coworkers, your bosses, and everyone in the newsroom celebrates you. I heard about Susan when I came down to Newsday's Washington Bureau years ago, but our paths didn't cross there. She had already moved on to USA Today, but she left behind a reputation for good journalism. We did cross paths when I arrived at Gannett. Our times at Newsday, then USA Today, made for a bond I will always appreciate. Much like the memories of Susan expressed by my colleagues, they say she is quick to share information, quick to share sources, tips, and quick to share praise. That's coming from a seasoned journalist who's already killing it. But just as important as her work supporting women in journalism and pushing for their voices to be heard in newsrooms. She even moderated this dinner a few years ago. Susan is a trailblazer and a working journalist who is still doing great journalism. So while we can, we want to give her her flowers. We're going to do that now. Please welcome Susan Paige.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you all. And a special shout out to my bosses who are here, Monica Richardson and Michael McCarter, to thank them for their support and for being here tonight. And to my other USA Today colleagues as well who are here, thank you. I know it's getting late. There are funnier speakers on deck, so you may be hoping that I deliver a short speech. Good news, I'm from USA Today. We invented smart brevity. I am honored to be included in the company of your previous winners, of Helen Thomas and Connie Chung and Diane Rehm and Robin Sproul. Actually, I was already indebted to this club, to Corey Rigby of the Christian Science Monitor and the 27 other pushy broads who in 1919 became charter members of this group when the men in the National Press Club wouldn't let them in. 60 years after they formed the Women's National Press Club, I arrived in Washington as a reporter for Newsday. That was only 9 years after the National Press Club had grudgingly opened its membership to women. When I got to town, no bureau of more than one person had a female bureau chief. Women reporters were scarce on the top beats. Here's how rare women were on the White House press corps in those days. My husband, you may have heard, is Carl P. Lubsdorff of the Dallas Morning News. When Carl and I were covering the same presidential trip, we would stay in the same hotel room. During the Reagan administration, there was a trip I didn't cover and Carl did. When Carl opened the door to his hotel room that night, he discovered that the White House Travel Office had booked him in the same room as Ann Devroy of the Washington Post, who was the only other female newspaper reporter regularly traveling on the beat. So I guess you've seen one of us, you've seen us all. Well, just look around this ballroom to see how things have changed. Women are running the newsrooms at Reuters and the AP and the Wall Street Journal and USA Today and elsewhere. Women anchor or co-anchor the prestigious Sunday morning TV shows at ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN, and Fox. Women are among those leading entrepreneurial startups like Punchbowl News. 107 years later, we are here. And that is thanks in part to the mission, the courage, and the persistence of the Washington Press Club and Foundation. A lot has changed in journalism since I got to town. Instantaneous filing, more diversity in our ranks. People have a million choices of how to get news, sometimes to get only the news they want to hear. The emergence of AI is bringing new upheaval and possibility. But these are perilous times. We stand with our colleagues at the Washington Post who today saw their jobs disappear. Who saw their jobs disappear despite the outstanding journalism they do. Besides the financial pressures, I worry too about how much of the public has lost faith in us. Only about a fourth of Americans report even having a fair amount of trust in the news media. Now, that is higher than Congress, but obviously not good enough. That distrust has opened the door to bogus accusations of fake news, to frivolous lawsuits designed to intimidate, to the FBI search and seizure of a reporter's phone and laptops, to Don Lemon's arrest for covering a protest, to the demand that Pentagon reporters sign pledges that they won't report unauthorized news. Reporting unauthorized news is pretty much the definition of what we do. That hasn't changed. It will never change, however the news is financed and distributed. The mission of journalists, now and forever, is to inform the public, to shine a light, to hold the powerful to account, to be an independent voice people can trust. Our nation's founders understood this. They knew that you cannot have a vibrant, functioning democracy without a vibrant, functioning press. That is what those pushy broads believed in 1919. That is what I believe. I know that's what you believe, too. Thank you for this award, and thank you for all you do.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Minority Whip Catherine Clark.
Good evening. I understand from the back of the room we have to yell into this mic. So give me a signal if you can't hear us, or maybe that's the point. I'm not really sure. But I want to thank Debbie, the Vice Chair, the Washington Press Club Foundation for bringing us together. And congrats to Susan. You are an inspiring leader and journalist, and we are so grateful for your work. Here at the Washington Press Club Foundation, you have opened doors for generations of journalists, and we appreciate your work more now than ever, and we are deeply, deeply grateful. But this evening, I have the honor of introducing my friend Madeline Dean, and we are now supposed to be transitioning from the more sober, serious part of this program to the funny part. And I thought, well, that's all great, except that there's nothing really to say about Mad that is funny or irreverent. She's thoughtful, she's decent, she's caring. She recently had a hot mic moment. I thought that might give me an opportunity, but somehow it made Speaker Johnson look bad, not mad. Just my luck. Now, Byron gets to introduce Kat. You have some material. We'll start with, you both are from Florida. Florida, Republicans from Florida. Mad is from Philadelphia. Declaration of Independence, cradle of liberty. She was born in Pennsylvania. Her parents are named Bob and Mary. It is really hard to compare the Florida and the Philadelphia story. And Byron also has additional things to work with. I mean, even Kat's name, Kat Kamek. Kat Kamek, it sounds like a private investigator. investigating alligators at Alcatraz, or maybe that was reopening Alcatraz to alligators or something along those lines. Madeline Dean sounds like an English professor. She sounds like a head partner at an all-woman law firm who goes on to be an impeachment manager in Congress. And of course, she is all of those things. I did find out tonight she has a tattoo. That's right. That's right. Things are getting edgy all of a sudden. It is of a saint, Saint LaSalle. So you see what my problem is here. So I looked to the political memoir because that is always a place rife with interest and intrigue. Love a political memoir, an easy target. And I started looking at some titles. We know we don't actually read them, but the titles were good. Charlie Crist, do you remember this memoir? The Party is Over. Dan Crenshaw, Fortitude. Dan Crenshaw also has a children's book, and so does Madeline Dean. She wrote a book, a children's book. Madeline's book is called You Are Always Loved. Dan Crenshaw's children's book is called Fame, Blame, and a Raft of Shame. So it continues. That's a whole nother conversation about that book. But Virginia Fox, I thought, really had a title. God is in the House. I mean, in a place of big egos, I thought the chairwoman really outdid herself on that one. So then we get to Madeline's book, entitled Under Our Roof. She wrote it with her son. It's beautiful. It's honest. It's a moving reflection of addiction and recovery, of pain and love. It made me cry. It made me want to be a better mother. And it is reflective of the person she is and the public servant she is. So I'm giving up on the roast. I'm giving up on trying to be funny about my friend. It is an honor to get to see those qualities in Madeline every single day, to call her a colleague and a friend. Please welcome the gentlewoman from Pennsylvania, Congresswoman Madeline Dean.
Madeline Dean, such a nasty woman.
He does that so well. What can I say about Catherine Clark? Just an extraordinary human being. Thank you for your beautiful words, for your kind words. Mike Lawler, thank you for always calling me nasty. I am nasty, and I don't mind it. But thank you, Catherine. Thank you for your leadership. We are so lucky to be in your company tonight. And she laughed with me earlier today and said, I'm introducing you, and I'm not sure how to be funny about you. I said, you should have talked to our 3 sons. They would have had a thing or two to say. Good evening. Good evening. It is so good to be with you. It's so good tonight to celebrate 80 years of the Washington Press Club. I mean 80 years. And we should celebrate, because making it to 80 is no small feat. It takes dedication. It takes perseverance. It takes talent, a commitment to something larger than yourself. For others, it takes Big Macs, makeup, and a commitment to a shade of spray tan not found in nature. That's right, the president is turning 80 this year. I think we can all agree aging is inevitable. Oh God, those golden years. Maturity apparently optional. I'm Madeline Dean, Congresswoman for the 4th Congressional District of Pennsylvania. If you find me shouting into this mic, it's because my husband is over there saying, "We can't hear you." For those unfamiliar, the 4th Congressional District is where reporters from D.C. and New York show up every few years to interview real swing state voters over breakfast at one of our local diners, like the Mayfair Diner. You're invited back. Thank you for including me this evening. What a beautiful building we're in. Look around you, folks. Can you believe this place once had the name of Trump on it, which is what we'll be saying about the Kennedy Center in 2 years, 11 months, and 17 days. That is my optimistic statement for tonight. It is an honor to be your background noise as you scroll through Twitter for the next 6 or 7 minutes. 6 or 7, I'm just thinking, 6 or 7, because, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know what it means. I'm just saying that because my uncle, Walter Dean, my late uncle, Walter Dean, was a Roman Catholic priest. And he told me, thank you, hit those glasses once in a while. He told me, Mad, he was a fantastic homilist. And he said to me, Mad, if you can't say it in 6 or 7 minutes, you can't say it at all. And that's the way I believe it. So let me give you a basic, brief framework of my remarks. Well, it's more a concept. It's a framework of a concept of a plan of my remarks. Are you with me? Oh, wait. Oh, my God. I see Jamie. Jamie Raskin. My friend is here. Jamie has been spending his weekends campaigning for Democrats across this country, suffering a major case of subpoena envy. How's it going, Jamie? We're going to be fine, aren't we? Where's Jamie? There he is. I see him. We're here tonight to celebrate a core tenet of our nation, the First Amendment. Congress, too, has the privilege of being a first. The first article in our Constitution. Included in that is the power of the purse. Forgive me. The power of the purse. But given current events, let me just hold mine a little closer in case Republicans try to give mine away too. And today we are here to celebrate Susan Paige. Oh, Susan. A round of applause. Bureau Chief for USA Today, recipient of the Washington Press Club Lifetime Achievement Award. My God. And Melissa Burke, where is Melissa? Thank you, Melissa Burke, recipient of the David Lynch Award for Excellence in Regional Reporting. We are all better for your decades of service, of your decades of writing, fearless, tenacious, smart writing, a lifetime of holding power to account. Tonight, I lift the role of the Washington Press Club in upholding the freedom of the press. Thank you for shining a light on the truth. I'm here alongside Kat Kamek. Where are you, Kat? Hello? Look at gorgeous Kat. A veritable Florida woman. We got to know one another as co-chairs of the Bipartisan Women's Caucus. It was there in our first meeting in my office in Cannon House office building as we waited for others to join us. Do you remember this? You told us about you raised chickens. I don't know if this is a proper expression, but she raises and herds chickens. Well, I thought immediately that's more a job for Mike Johnson, but I digress. In all seriousness, Kat is a fierce, sweet, working mother. So I know that an evening addressing hundreds of people in our nation's capital really just means she gets a break from actual hard work. In a way, remember, our congressional caucus aligned with the mission of this Washington Press Club, which began as a women's national press club, led by 6 brave women in 1919, the very year my dad was born. at a time when women's voices were not taken seriously. Can you imagine, Speaker? Can you imagine, Whip? It is good to laugh. It is really good to laugh during difficult days, and together we have been through hundreds of difficult days in this country. Recently, I don't know about you, but I have been pushed to my absolute limit. Forced, forgive me, excuse me, just a moment. Forced to endure what feels like torture. And this was just AMC's 7 p.m. showing of Melania. They're already talking about a sequel, though I guess Melania is technically already a part of a trilogy. All right, okay, all right, forgive me. All right. It's also important to remember what's at stake. I think of you, journalists, writers about our lives and our world. I want you to understand something about me. Before I ran for office, I was a professor of writing, of rhetoric, of ethics at LaSalle University in Philadelphia. You're not listening over there. It's like a bad class. I know all about this. One of the rhetorical tools I reminded my students of was the power of primacy and of recency. That is, what a writer says first and a writer says last is more likely to be remembered than that which is in the middle. So choose well, emphasize well. You know what? The drafters of the Bill of Rights understood this, placing the most fundamental of rights first, the First Amendment to the Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. These last months, we have seen the Trump administration test, strain, assault freedoms of speech, assembly, our right to petition our government for grievance, the freedom of the press, suing media outlets, curating the White House press corps to their liking, to their favor, harassing, bullying, insulting journalists and reporters, especially women, calling them names like piggy, calling them stupid. The president took a step further last week when 2 African-American journalists, Don Lemon and Georgia Fort, were arrested for exercising their First Amendment rights. Trump called Don Lemon a sleazebag, which would make me nervous if I were Don, given how much time Mr. Trump has spent with sleazebags. I see a Mar-a-Lago visit coming. Speaking of places where classified documents shouldn't be, Tulsi Gabbard heard the name Georgia Fort, and she thought she had a lead. Finally, a lead on the 11,780 missing Georgia ballots, which of course are not missing because they don't exist, like Trump's plan to make America more affordable. On a much more serious note, in January, please listen with me, because we're at a moment we've never been at. In January, the world watched, we watched as 2 American citizens, Renee Good and Alex Preddy, were shot and killed by masked, thuggish government agents, ICE. They're not normal times. Journalists and lawmakers, we have a joint obligation and opportunity in front of us to do everything in our power to never cede any of these freedoms enshrined in our civil rights, in our Bill of Rights, and to relentlessly call out the appalling silence of good people, including too many of my Republican colleagues, in the face of American carnage. We also share something more, journalists and you and me. We share words, the tools of our trade. As legislators, and I see so many of my colleagues and friends here, As legislators and writers, what do we have? The only thing we have are words. We use them to reflect our times, our lives, the opportunities, the challenges, what is going on around us, how democracy is functioning, and to shape policy and thought. It's all we have. It is all we have. It is our words, flanked by truth, flanked by integrity. That is everything. There's a reason you are the First Amendment, the very essence of our freedom. You're also the Fourth Estate, but nobody tell the president that. He may try to purchase you and turn you into the Potomac Riviera. Again, these are not normal times. I recognize that many of you in this room have spent the past year on the front lines of tragedy. Some of you have lost colleagues and friends in Gaza, where many spent their final moments trying to ensure the world would know the incredible suffering there. May their memories be a blessing. And I thank you for this chance to speak with you tonight. I look forward to chatting with you again soon. Who knows, maybe I'll even accidentally add you to a confidential war plans or family plans signal chat. You know, Eleanor Roosevelt, an alumna of, predecessor of the Women's National Press Club, a key figure behind the UN Declaration of Rights, said, "If silence seems to give approval, then remaining silent is cowardly." I look around this room, I see no cowardice here. So keep writing, keep reporting the truth, be guided by your integrity. It's true. Clap for yourselves. I see no cowardice here. Be guided by your integrity. Be guided by your love of country. Be guided by your love of your fellow human being. You know what? I used to tell my writing students back in Philadelphia, never be afraid to reveal a little of your humanity. Don't be afraid in your writing to leave a little bit of yourself on the page and to find others' humanity along the way. That's writing at its best. I pledge the same to you in my work and in my words. So take care of yourselves. And now, if you would, could everybody close your eyes? Those who have not already closed your eyes, could you all close your eyes? And can you now think in all capital letters for my final sentence tonight? You ready? All right, Jamie, your eyes aren't closed. Becca, come on, close your eyes. Catherine, close your eyes. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Good night, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Representative Byron Donalds of Florida.
When I was elected to Congress back in 2020, I never thought I would be in a room with the press like this. This room is littered with a lot of y'all writing a lot of things. And many, many Democrats, handful of Republicans. It feels like I'm in Manhattan. But the other thing I noticed is that coming into the Waldorf tonight, it was pretty easy to get into. No real security. Just walked through, came up to the front stage, sat down, had a glass of wine. It's almost as if Joe Biden is still running security. But you know, enough jesting. My job here right now is to introduce my colleague from the great state of Florida, Kat Cammack. And if you don't know who Kat Cammack is, let me explain it to you. Now, real quick, Madeline loved your remarks. But I'm not going to ask everybody to close their eyes because they've been drinking this wine. And if you close your eyes, you might fall over in your chair. We won't want to do that to you. We want you to be ready for the after party because I know that's what the people in the back are looking for. That guy over there is clapping like finally somebody who said something smart at the microphone. Get to the after party. Kat Cammack and I came into Congress in 2020. When she was elected, she was the youngest woman elected to Congress that year. Actually, the youngest woman in Congress. You were spry, girl. Since then, well, yeah, things have changed. Since then, Kat has been a fighter on Capitol Hill, a fighter for the 3rd Congressional District in Florida that is affectionately known in my state as the Gator Nation. So if you root for the Florida Gators in football, I know here in D.C. you guys don't even know what college football is. That's okay. But that's who she represents. Kat Cammack is one of the true fighters on Capitol Hill. You see, she got involved in politics because her family farm was closed and she was furious. And she decided to fight for other farmers like her. You see, she realized what happened when government shut her down, and she didn't take it lightly. She stood up and started fighting for herself and for her community. She's a graduate of the War College. That's crazy, because that means you're running circles around a lot of people using a lot of strategery. Is that a Bushism? Oh, I don't think we're allowed to use Bushisms anymore. It's fine for tonight. Strategery. But more than that, she is now a mom and a wife. Her husband, Matt, is a first responder, a firefighter, laying his life on the line every single day, helping people in the state of Florida. Her daughter, baby Augie, is the cutest thing I've ever seen. And she has Kat's eyes, but Matt's personality. Because when Kat comes up here, you're going to see real fast. Kat is not shy. Kat is not calm. Kat's going to knock over some tables on her way to getting things done. And her daughter, she is the most chill thing I've ever seen in my life. This baby will be on the floor of the House, and it is the only thing that's bringing Republicans and Democrats together. I see them walking by, they be like, you know, Kat, I can't stand how you voted on this. Oh my gosh, it's baby Augie. She looks so cute. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, I know you're going to write bad about me tomorrow, but that's all right. Today, please welcome to the stage the Congresswoman from Florida, from the Gator Nation, Kat Cammack. Come on up here, Kat.
I'm up here.
Man, y'all check this dress out.
They can't see it. I'm 5'3" with T-Rex arms. They can't see this dress. The podium is as tall as I am.
If you could, she's too short. Y'all can't see the dress. Check it out later. Take a photo. Kat Cammack, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you, Byron. And yes, I am 5'3" with T-Rex arms. So yes, this podium is about my height. Thank God I am not wearing heels like Speaker Emeritus Pelosi. I'd probably fall over. But this has been a great dinner. I'm not sure whose idea it was to serve the stringiest, choppiest green salad. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Catherine, do I have something in my teeth? Nope. Anymore, you can't be too careful. I mean, with this weather, it's a little dry. Got the boogers in the nose, you know. I stapled my dress earlier today. Might have a wardrobe malfunction. Nancy Mace calls that her outfit for the day. Oh, we're going to have so much fun. Twitter is going to be off the chain. And seriously, if you all start talking and the glasses start tinkling or whatever it is, you know at weddings that's like the sign for kissing or whatever? Reese Gorman's back there just itching for someone to make out with his face. And it's not the girl next to him. He keeps looking to the guy next to him like, yeah. Is that David Valadeo sitting next to you? Oh, shit. Well, you know, California, anything goes. But Susan, congratulations. What an incredible honor. Thank you. All the women in this room, we stand on your shoulders. Thank you. Thank you. Give it up for Susan. And Catherine, wonderful introduction. Yes, I do hail from the great free state of Florida. It is, in fact, the state where all of your constituents are moving. I love it when people shit on Florida because I just say, okay, 2,000 a day. They just keep on coming. And Byron, thank you for that wonderful, beautiful speech. I appreciate you. Many of you in this room know that Byron and I are congressional best friends. He considers baby Augie his little niece. And it's pretty impressive, though, Byron. I mean, you, especially in this affordability crisis, as the media here in the room would call it, you were paying 3 rents. I don't know how you do this, man. You got your place in Naples, Florida. You got your place up here in D.C., and then you got the room at Fox News. And you managed to do it while holding down 2 jobs. He is running for governor of Florida. And, yeah, give it up, man. The next governor of Florida right there. Yeah. I appreciate the tiger blood energy in the back. Thank you. Note to the waitstaff, please stop serving them. She's like, oh, and that's a Republican. You're missing my joke up. But no, we have the next governor of Florida, but also your second job, I guess you should say it's your first job, is representing the 19th district in Florida. You, sir, are single-handedly bringing down the unemployment rate in the African American community. Congratulations. Oh, stop it. AP down here is like, oh my God. It's fine. He laughed. Jeez. Calm down. But I am thrilled to be with y'all. Truly honored to be standing amongst a bunch of, well, media and distinguished members of Congress. Everyone outside of Washington, D.C. calls us leakers or leeches. I'll let you decide which one you are. But seriously, it is incredible to be with you all. I mean, I look around the room, I see so many incredible colleagues and folks that have just been history makers. I mean, for goodness sakes, we have Speaker Nancy Pelosi here with us tonight. I saw Jamie Raskin over there, no surprise, with MSNBC. Shocker. I saw Buddy Carter was here earlier. Lucy. Hank Johnson, is your table going to tip over? Careful now. I've seen a couple others. I see Beth Van Dyne, Rich McCormick. There's so many folks in here. I mean, gosh, the list goes on and on. Wesley Hunt. Just kidding. They make it too easy, honestly. But it really is an incredible room of distinguished individuals. But honestly, you'd be hard pressed to find a room that's more out of touch. I mean, think about it. I mean, we did have the Grammys a few days ago, so I mean, maybe we come in second on that one. But speaking of the Grammys and media, I have to say I am sorry about your colleague, Don Lemon, the journalist, not the dish soap. My dish soap doesn't lie when it goes down the drain. Again, the AP is like, mm-mm. But I will admit, coming up here doing comedy, it's a little nerve-wracking, and I am nervous. But not nearly as nervous as my Spanx was when I pulled it out of the drawer tonight. Thankfully, weather like this, we can consider long underwear sexy, so it's great. But I am trying to channel my inner calmness, right? Kind of like Marco Rubio when he finds out that his next job is going to be a backup dancer in Nicki Minaj's music video. It's like Anaconda Part 2, and he's like, what? Actually, I should say, ¿qué? But seriously, Byron, you talked about it, being a mom and the youngest Republican woman in the 117th. I don't know if I'm the youngest anymore. I don't feel it. But it is a tough gig. And any woman in this business, whether you're in Congress or you're in media, you know you're in a man's world. And it's tough. I was the 14th woman ever to give birth while serving in Congress. Thank you. And it changes you. I mean, no doubt, it absolutely changes you. Not nearly as much as it changed Mike Johnson when he walked in on me breastfeeding baby Augie in the ceremonial signing room. He was like, the room is yours, cat. The man still can't look me in the eye to this day. It's great. Seriously, over there, MSNBC is losing their mind. They're like, she said breastfeeding, not chest feeding. Hey, I got a laugh out of AP. Miracles do happen. But as a new mom, I feel like I've pretty much graduated into a pro on a lot of things. Multitasking, handling things, being, in one place quickly. But I'm also super good at changing diapers, which makes me uniquely qualified to be the next United States Senator from the great state of Florida. Or Joe Biden's caretaker, either. Oh, that's the worst tonight, come on. But as was mentioned tonight, this dinner is 80 years old, so in fact, it is eligible to be a president in 2028. And it was mentioned that we are here in the fabulous Waldorf, which was the Trump Hotel, and you can see, you got to give the man credit. President Trump did a wonderful job in building this and building it out and, decorating, and it's just been fabulous. He doesn't do anything small, nothing at all. Everything is always big. Like Mike Lawler, you do a fabulous impersonation of President Trump. He would say, you coming up on stage and getting on the mic when you're not even sitting up here, he'd be like, baby Mike, you're an asshole, okay? But he's super into the big things. You guys know this summer he is going to be hosting the first ever UFC fight on the White House lawn. That is going to be exciting. There hasn't been that much swinging at the White House since the Clintons were in office. Yeah, I was going to go there. And Nancy, I'm sorry, Speaker Pelosi, you brought up that today is in fact the day that George Washington was elected president in 1789. I was so impressed that you knew that, because I just honestly was taken aback, but then I remembered you knew that because you were there. Oh, Jesus. Twitter is firing off right now. I know it. But I still can't just shake the idea or the image. Can you guys imagine that UFC fight is like getting ready to go down on the White House lawn? Look over at Marco Rubio. He is sweating bullets, praying that not a single fighter pulls out. He's like, oh, shit. Right? Oh, that man has like 17 jobs. It's amazing. But the Clintons, they're in the news a little bit this week. Actually, a lot this week. And I had so many Hillary Clinton jokes. My staff had emailed me a bunch, but just like her emails, they disappeared. Please let the record reflect that I am not suicidal. See, Mike's laughing. Mike's laughing. He's enjoying it. Are you drinking? No, you're Mormon. Is that water? Are you sure? You good? You're leaning. Okay. All right. I don't know, but just, speaking of drinking, though, Nancy Mace announced this week that she doesn't drink. Yeah, okay. We know that's bullshit. All of us in this room are like, okay. Oh, God. Yeah, that was the joke. Like, I don't even know how to finish that one. But thank God y'all are starting to come alive a little bit. Madeline said, we're a little subdued, but that's okay. That's okay. We just needed to bring it up a little bit, get it a little bit higher, like just elevate the standards a little bit. Just, high like Nancy's stock portfolio, or high like Matt Gates' eyebrows, or high like Jerry Nadler's pants. I am so getting jumped when I leave this room. I know it. Listen, this is a formal event, and so, everybody's all gussied up, looking very good, very sharp. This is nice. Seeing everybody. Sarah Jacobs from the great state of California, you look very beautiful tonight. Yeah? Everybody looks that was a very nice, Nancy Pelosi. See, I got a golf clap for you. But it's crazy because, we've come through this crazy weather. It's been a really long couple of months. We had the shutdown. And it was kind of reminding me a little bit about COVID when everybody just kind of was in the sweatpants. That was the thing. So everybody's really looking sharp tonight. But for the ladies, you know what that meant. You had to bust out the Spanx. You had to do your hair really, really nice. And for me, it meant I had to shave my legs for the first time in 6 months. And I didn't know that long hair on your legs could be that long. It was deeply uncomfortable. This guy right here, he's just all deeply, deeply uncomfortable right now. You kind of remind me of Bill Gates at a pharmacy. I'm going to let that one sit for a minute. Think real hard about what's come out this week. Okay. All right. But lately, politics feels a lot less like public service and more like a group chat that nobody wants to be in. I honestly don't know what people want to leave more, Congress or Politico. Hey. Dude, are you blushing? Now who's the uncomfortable one? Folks, I don't want to take too much time up here because I know that, as Byron said, everybody's looking forward to an after party. So at the risk of sounding like Cory Booker, I'm not going to hang out up here for too long. I just want to say thank you for your graciousness tonight, and congratulations to Miss Susan Paige for an incredible acknowledgement and award of her years of service. This has been a lot of fun, and you guys have been great, great sports. You have been most welcoming to Republicans, which is unusual. Almost as welcoming as Mike Waltz in a Signal chat. Thank you and good night.
Thank you to our headliners. Thank you to our awardees. Thank you for being here tonight. Enjoy the after party and be safe getting home. Thank you for being here.